Your goal every single year is to get those two lines of your tax return, line 24 and line 33, to be as equal as possible. You want them to be as close together as possible because the job of the tax return is to reconcile that little bit of difference. Welcome to the Sunlight Podcast. In this show, we're talking about taxes, money, and careers for self-employed people who have a big vision for changing the world with their work. I'm your host, Hannah Cole, artist, tax pro, and the founder of Sunlight Tax. If you're a creative or soul-centered entrepreneur or wellness practitioner who wants to grow your business sustainably, manage your taxes, and build a stash of fuck you money so you can control your time and have a bigger impact with your work, you are in the right place. Hello. Oh, it's nice to be with you after what for me was a very hectic tax season. Whew. I'm really tired. Once the tax day came and went, I took one full week off of social media, email, and news, which seems impossible, but I worked hard at it. It was my girls' spring break, so it was possible. We went away as a family, and I never checked a single headline. And oh my God, it really worked. It made me feel better. So I don't know if you need a detox, if your heart rate has been skyrocketing like mine has recently, highly recommend, a digital detox. Super, super helpful. So today on the podcast, I want to bring you what I think is the single most important thing that you can do after you file your taxes. So now that you've done it, you've done that work, how can you make sure that this coming year is going to be better than last year? And how can you make sure you avoid any whammies? All right, that's my goal for you today. All right, so this is pretty short and sweet, but what I want you to do is pull out your tax return, right? The actual document. Now, the law requires you to receive a copy of your tax return. So FYI, you definitely have this. If you got your taxes done by an accountant, they will have given you a copy. Sometimes it's a link to a copy. Sometimes you even have to create a login to access it. So that might be the case, but you've got a copy for sure. And if you used TurboTax, TaxSlayer, some kind of commercial software, that program will also give you a copy of your tax return. So however you did your taxes, you definitely have a copy of it. That's what the law requires. So it's definitely true, or else somebody broke the law. So grab that tax return. And what you're looking for is the two summary pages. All right. You'll know that you're on the summary pages. The first summary page says at the top, I'm just going to find it, 1040, right? Upper left corner says 1040 U.S. individual tax return. All right. Make sure of course, it should say 24 because you just did the taxes for 2024. Taxes are retroactive. The second page is the one with your signature on it. All right. So those are the two summary pages. Now, what you want to do, just FYI, these two summary pages have so much key information in them. For my people in my program, Money Bootcamp, I just taught a 1 hour class on how to review your tax return. And I think that's a really valuable skill that none of us learn in school, but it's a really valuable skill to have, to just know how to review these two summary pages, because it really helps you understand what's in your tax return, what taxes you're paying, how the income is coming into your household, right? Actually, all of your money, all of your income gets thrown into one single bucket. And that doesn't matter if it's self-employment income, which you probably have if you're listening to Sunlight, plus W-2 income, plus if you're married filing jointly, of course, your spouse's income is also coming into that same bucket. It's just one bucket, not separate buckets, all right? So looking at that summary document is going to actually show you on the bottom of page 1 all the different types of income that you brought in as a household and that are taxable. All right. And then the second page, the one with your signature on it, up at the top, it calculates the tax you owe on all that income that is summarized on page 1. So it's a really, really good thing to review these two pages, and I highly recommend it. So take a minute, do it now. And this is the key skill that I want you to take away from today's episode. Hey, real quick, I just wanted to pop in and tell you that my book, Taxes for Humans, Simplify Your Taxes and Change the World When You're Self-Employed, is available for the first time ever as a pre-order. Pre-orders are massively important to the success of this book, and I am so grateful and will send you gifts for your pre-order. If you're interested in getting this super empowering, super funny book, you can go to sunlighttax.com/book. All the details you need are there, and more details will be forthcoming. And thank you so much. I hope you enjoy Taxes for Humans. I've worked really hard to make it awesome for you, and your pre-order means the world to me. If you think about how taxes work, they are retroactive. We don't assign tax rates until we know what amount of income you earned for the year. Well, you can't know that while the year is happening, right? You can only know how much income you earned for 2024 in 2025, once 2024 is fully over, right? So because of that, we file our tax returns after the year that we're paying the taxes for, right? After that year is over. That is the time where you actually do the tally, right? Before that, all tax paying is an estimate, whether that is through your withholding, through a paycheck, or whether it is through paying estimated quarterly taxes. So think about those as two different spigots that are coming out of your income bucket, paying into your tax bucket, right? And you can increase the volume on one or the other of the spigots, and it actually doesn't matter which spigot your taxes are getting paid out of, whether it's paycheck withholding or estimated quarterly taxes, so long as when you add those spigots, those tax payments up, they equal roughly the tax that you actually owed for the year. The thing is, you don't ever know during the year if you're exactly right, because life is happening every day and things can change your income. You could get a bonus. You could lose a job. You could lose your biggest client. All kinds of things can happen that will make your income kind of go up and go down and fluctuate throughout the year. So tax paying is always an estimate when you're doing it during the year as you're required to. But the one time of year that we reconcile what we estimated and thought we owed and paid versus what we actually owed and do the full tally, that is the job of the tax return. Okay, I hope that's a helpful summary for you. Please let me know if it was or was not. I'd love to know. But the task that I want to give you, it's really quick, is on page 2, on that signature page of your tax return. When you pull that out, what I want you to notice is up at the top, it says taxes and credits. And the bottom line of that taxes and credits section is line 24. And that tells you your total tax. So that number on line 24 is the actual total tax that you owed on all the income you made in 2024. All right. That's the big, here it is, ta-da, right? Now, we live in what's called a pay-as-you-go tax system. And what that means is you're required to be paying your taxes during 2024 on that income, except that you don't completely know what your tax rate is yet because we only determine that after all of your income gets tallied, right? So you have to kind of guess as you're going in 2024. But those payments that you make throughout the year are all a credit against that line 24 total tax, all right? So if you're curious, yes, that is sitting there right on your tax return, right below line 24. After line 24 is a section called payments. And that section of your tax summary, it's on the signature page. That section shows you what you paid in taxes in 2024. And so that's going to be all the taxes that you paid. That's going to include all the withholding that you or your spouse had taken out of your W-2s, right? Out of your paycheck. It also shows all the payments you made for estimated quarterly taxes. And this, I hope, gives you a sense of reassurance because I know a lot of people have a real fear when they pay estimates that they just go into a black hole and they disappear, that no one will ever know they got paid, right? Well, they do, of course, because you report your estimated tax payments on your tax return. And here is where they show up. So if you want to actually see the line that you need to check on page 2, your signature page of your tax return, estimated tax payments are line 26. All right. So just look at line 26 and it will show you. Okay. And of course, if you forgot to report that, you should file an amended tax return. It's important to do, all right? It's a really important thing to actually give yourself the credit for paying your estimates. So if you forgot to report your estimates, eventually the IRS will figure it out and they will send you a refund for that amount. But man, oh man, can that take a long time? And you really want to make sure that you proactively report your estimated tax payments so that you don't have to deal with that mess of clearing it up on the other end. Okay, so when you're looking in that payment section, the last line of it, line 33, tells you your total payments. Those are the total payments in combination that you made throughout 2024. So if you think about it, the point of your tax return in the broadest possible strokes are to reconcile line 24, the total tax you owed for 2024, with line 33, the total tax payments you made so far for 2024. All right. So the cool thing here is your goal every single year is to get those two lines of your tax return, line 24 and line 33, to be as equal as possible. You want them to be as close together as possible because the job of the tax return is to reconcile that little bit of difference and then show you what refund you get because you paid more than what you owed. In other words, line 33 was greater than line 24, or to show what payment you owe to the IRS. And that is because line 33 was not as big as line 24, your total tax, right? So those two lines are kind of the key to your tax return. And you will find that underneath that, your refund or the amount you owe is going to be the difference between line 24 and line 33 of your tax return, okay? So what you want to do is look at last year's tax return and see how close together they were. How close were you to making the full amount of payments to equal that line 24 total tax? That's your goal every single year. And that starts immediately on January 1st. So if you see that you owed a massive tax bill in 2024, and you're probably feeling that pain right about now, if you owed a big tax bill, you need to fix that this year so that it doesn't happen again next year. And the way that you can fix that is either by filing a new W-4 with your employer to increase your withholding through your paycheck. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, that might not be an option for you because I am teaching self-employed people how to do things, how to do their taxes. And of course, if you're listening to this, you probably don't have a W-2, but you might, or you might have a spouse who does. And you might file a joint tax return. So that might be an option. The other option is paying estimated quarterly taxes, right? And even if you paid them last year, but they were too small to actually match your tax bill, your total tax, then you will need to increase the size of them, right? You need to pay more in tax so that it's closer to equaling the total tax for the year. All right? Does that make sense? So that's what I want you to think about. And the other thing is you are the person who is the closest to your numbers of anyone in the world. And so do you have a sense of your income shifting this year? Is 2025 looking the same as 2024? I don't know about you, but I have been dramatically impacted by all this economic uncertainty. My income is dramatically down because people are feeling a lot of fear about the economic environment, and small businesses who are my clients, they're suffering, right? You may be really suffering from this tariff back and forth and just the fear of not knowing what's going on in the economy, right? So if that's affecting you, it's possible that your income is down like mine is this year. And you might actually want to make an adjustment where you make smaller estimated quarterly tax payments or you reduce your withholding on your W-2. But either way, what you want to do is compare line 24 total tax with line 33 total tax payments and see how close together they are. And your goal for this year, for 2025, and you've got 8 months left to do it, your goal is to make those numbers be as close together as possible, to make your line 33 payments equal line 24 as closely as you can. All right. So I hope that's really a helpful tip for you. I hope that gives you a high level idea of what to do with your tax return now that it's done and actually how to make adjustments moving forward. P.S. If you're looking at this and thinking, or if you're listening to this and thinking, oh my God, estimated taxes. What are those? How does that work? I have a bunch of Sunlight podcast episodes about quarterly taxes. I definitely recommend that you listen to those. And of course, if you want real hand-holding help and tools with that, that's what my program is for, my program Money Bootcamp. So I'll put a link to my program in the show notes. I'll also put a link to my free class, Make Taxes Easier, because it gives you kind of a sense of the systems that I help you set up inside the program. It also, just PS, it gives you the very best deal that is available on my program if you watch that class and click the link to join through that class. So if you want that, that's going to be in the show notes. That is go.sunlighttax.com/register. Okay, so of course, yes, I built a program to help you do exactly this. So if you want the full shebang, the tools, the hand-holding, the deeper education, my program will help you adjust your estimated quarterly taxes. But if you're new here and you just want the free version, go listen to those podcasts from the last couple of weeks. I will link to those in the show notes, and those are going to help you get your head around estimated quarterly taxes. All right. So I hope that's been a helpful episode for you. If it has, or if you have a friend who's been struggling with this, please share the episode with them. It is the only way this podcast grows, and I really appreciate you. And I think your friend who might be struggling with quarterly taxes will appreciate it as well. So thank you for that so much. Also, as we exit tax season, I would love to hear what you want to hear about on the podcast. Do you want more about how to review your tax return, how to get more out of your taxes? Do you want to know about your June quarterly payment? Tell me what you want to learn. You can send me a DM on Instagram at Sunlight Tax, and I keep a spreadsheet of all the topic requests that I get. So please know I listen to every single one, and I'm grateful for your suggestions. So definitely let me know. All right. Thanks for listening today. I will talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe, leave a review. It really helps, and share it with a friend. I'm so grateful. This podcast is for education and entertainment only. Nothing in this episode should be taken as individual tax or financial advice. You can find all the tools, books, and links we reference at sunlighttax.com/podcast.